flag. Not the most.
You got the list? I got the extra one. You got the list for it?
I got it.
I want you to tell me.
Thank you. My mom's cousin was the superintendent district in Jasper, and the family is scattered all over.
Third great grandfather. I'm proud to say that I'm related to what I call the Fighting Lewis family. The Cochrans were fighting enough, but when you consider the Lewises, you consider the fighting family. The other subject I want to talk about is combat. Samuel was about 29 years old when he volunteered to fight the first time, so he knew what fighting was all about. And he didn't get enough the first time around. He had to do it a repeat of it for the Texas independence. Now, he was quite a man, and I'd like to thank him for his service to our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Samuel was my fourth great grandfather, and I just want to let everybody know that he and Sarah are certified by the Texas State Genealogy Society as the first Texas family, and are certified by the SRT and the DRT as citizens of the Republic of Texas. And he's quite a guy. Thank you.
My name is Mike Wilson. I'm from the Spring area, although I was born in Jasper, not very far from here. My family's from this area as well, and probably we're related somewhere along the way. I am the Vice President of the Sons of the Republic of Texas, Lone Star Chapter number 58 in the Woodlands area. And our organization is statewide. In fact, we have members nationwide and also around the world. I am very pleased to be here today to represent the SRT. The purpose of the SRT is to perpetuate the memory and the spirit of the men and women who achieved the independence of Texas, set the young republic on its high course among the nations of the world, and finally secured its mission as a state of the United States of America. Our mission statement is to preserve, protect, and promote Texas history for our posterity. We foster the preservation of historic sites, documents, and artifacts. Prior to February the 19th of 1846, we participate in community activities which remind the public of its Republic of Texas heritage and organize, promote, and publicize and commemorate the observance of historical dates of the Republic of Texas period. The members of the SRT are direct descendants of citizens of the Republic of Texas prior to February 19th, 1846. And just as a side note, if you read the U.S. history books, it's 1845, but that's not right. So if you're taught it's 1845 that Texas entered the Union, that's not quite true. Texas was an independent, sovereign nation, just like the United States, and it was a marriage. And as you know, with all marriages, there were two I do's that had to take place. The first one was December of 1845 by the U.S. Congress. The second one, by Texas, occurred in February of 1846. So technically, we didn't become part of the United States until 1846. So you can scratch that out of your history books. We accept, that wasn't actually part of this, but I thought I'd throw it in. We accept the responsibilities of the legacy with humility and respect the sacrifices of the pioneers of Texas who made these to secure our liberties. Today, we're gathered on this hallowed ground to commemorate the life of one of our Texas heroes. For the next few minutes, I'd like to take you back to the era in which Colonel Samuel S. Lewis lived. 181 years ago, the soil on which we now stand was Mexico, where Spanish was the official language, Catholicism was the national religion, and Indians such as the Tonkawa, the Caddo, the Cherokee, the Kickapoo, Coshada, Comanche, and Apache dominated the region east from the Sabine River all the way to the Rio Grande and beyond. The Mexican government wanted rugged individuals capable of defending the territory from the numerous tribes which could not be subjugated through their mission policy, of which the most prominent were in Goliad and San Antonio de Bayar. These pioneers brought their Kentucky long rifles and self-reliant spirit to settle Texas and build a new life for themselves and their families. The Anglo settlers who came to the piney woods brought their customs, religions, culture, and language, which were from the beginning in conflict with the Tejanos who lived in Coahuila y Tejas. Colonel Samuel Lewis entered Texas in 1832 at the time of turmoil and conflict, and I'll recount one of those events of his life as he paid his dues to become a Texan. In 1832, civil war broke out all over Mexico as President Anastasio Bustamante declared in favor of a monarchical form of government and Santa Anna in favor of the Constitution of 1824. Essentially, Bustamante said, I'm going to be a dictator. At that time, there was a regiment of Mexican soldados garrisoned at Nacogdoches under command of Colonel Piedras, who declared in favor of the central government. Essentially, he was for Bustamante and the dictator, and vowed extermination of the Anglos. The people of East Texas declared in favor of the Constitution of 1824, bringing civil war to the colonists here. The alcalde of Nacogdoches called up the colonial militia to defend the town against Piedras and the soldados. Colonel Samuel Lewis heeded the call to arms along with his other compatriots from Bevan Settlement, San Augustine, and other areas around Nacogdoches. A furious fight ensued as the Texans marched towards the square of Nacogdoches on August 2nd with Monclava's cavalry charging the militia. The fighting continued throughout the afternoon, driving the Mexicans from house to house, hand to hand, until they retreated to the old stone fort to make a final stand. You all may have visited the old stone fort. It has been moved from where it was originally. By the end of the day, the Texas militia had driven them out of the old stone fort again from this place, and they had captured the old stone fort, Sims Tavern, Thorn Store, and Robert Rackett's store. The heated fire from the Texas frontiersmen was too deadly for the Mexican soldiers to escape. The Mexicans then took cover in the Red House at the Cuartel. As the fighting subdued in the darkness, a very heavy fog settled on the evening of August 2nd. Colonel Piedras managed to slip through the Texas lines to the west in an effort to reach the Angelina River and make an escape to San Antonio de Bayar. On the morning of August 3rd, the fog lifted late as the Nacogdoches militia prepared their fortifications for an attack. To their surprise, the entire garrison had slipped away in the night. Calls for volunteers were made to race ahead and detain the fleeing Mexicans. 17 men volunteered immediately and rode west and set upon the nearly 400 soldados at the Angelina crossing. After a furious fight along the banks of the river, the Mexicans retreated to the Durst House where they took cover. Not knowing the strength of the Texas volunteers, the Piedras finally surrendered with a white flag on the roof. They separated Piedras and the other officers to be taken immediately back to town. The remaining 10 Texan volunteers kept guard over the remaining 400 soldados. The joyous Texans were presented with a dilemma. They had single-shot, muzzle-loading rifles, which could take up to a minute to reload. If the Mexicans did not fear death, they could overpower their victors. But human nature prevailed, and the garrison was marched back to Nacogdoches without incident. The Mexican soldados were delivered to the care of Jim Bowie in Nacogdoches at that time, who escorted them to San Antonio de Bayar, where they were paroled. Piedras was paroled by way of New Orleans. The Battle of Nacogdoches has been called the opening gunshot of the Revolution. No soldados were ever garrisoned east of the Colorado River after 1832. The significance of this battle is that it swept East Texas of all Mexican soldiers, making it safe for the convention for the Declaration of Independence at Washington, Nebraska in 1835 and 36. Colonel Sam Lewis and his fellow patriots in arms paved the way for the birth of the Republic of Texas. And in closing, I want to let you all think about this. I would contend that it was men like Colonel Lewis and his other fellow patriots that gave the United States its final shape today. Because in their work, in their efforts to free our freedom from Mexico and create an independent Texas, in 1845 and 46, when Texas moved to become part of the United States, it set off another war in which Santa Anna declared war on the United States over Texas. And it was because of this war, and of course the subsequent loss to the United States, that Mexico lost all of the interior lands that we now call today New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and so on. And it was because of that that we have now manifest destiny from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And so it was because of men like Samuel Lewis that made that possible. So I would say God bless Sam Lewis and God bless Texas.
I apologize for that phone call, but it was John Taylor. He got lost. But he is on his way. At this time, I would like to welcome Judge Doherty to come back and speak with us one more time.
It's my pleasure and the Commissioner's Court's pleasure to enter this proclamation honoring Colonel Samuel Lewis for his service in the military of the United States of America. Whereas Colonel Samuel Lewis served with the Indiana Matilda in the War of 1812 in Captain Peyton's company, and the Indiana Matilda and founded the town of Orleans, Indiana. And whereas Colonel Samuel S. Lewis served as Justice of the Peace in Ouachita Parish, Louisiana. And whereas Colonel Lewis served on the Subcommittee of Safety, Vigilance, and Correspondence for the Snow River District, called the Bevel District. And whereas Colonel Lewis served in the Battle of Nacogdoches in 1832 and participated in the siege of San Antonio Bay Harbor in 1835, and whereas Colonel Lewis served as a delegate in the consultation of 1835, and whereas Congressman Lewis represented Jasper County, inclusive of Newton County, in the 1st and 2nd Congress of the Republic of Texas, now therefore on behalf of the County of Newton and the residents thereof, it is an honor to express our appreciation to and for Colonel Samuel S. Lewis for his service to the United States of America and to the County of Newton, Texas. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the County of Newton to be affixed this 18th day of May, 2013.
Thank you, Judge, for your proclamation and to all of our commissioners. We really appreciate your office and for all that you do for us. I'm glad to have Representative James White with us today. And at this time, I would like to introduce our representative to come forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Man, it's a blessing to be back in Newton County. You know, I've been in Austin the past couple of months, past few months actually, and I got to go back for another few days. But it's nothing like looking at real people and smelling real East Texas air. Austin can be an interesting place, and so I drove in this morning and got to drive back. But it's always a pleasure to come to Newton. It's always a blessing to come to Newton. Your county commissioners and your county judge do a magnificent job representing your county, serving your county. We're in a district with 5 other counties, my home county of Tyler, Polk, and Jasper and Hardin. And I would say of all the counties, a commissioner's court that works in concert for their constituents, obviously Newton County leads the way. Today we're honoring a great man, someone who paved the way for us. And again, if those that are his relatives, if they can stand, if not, if they could just raise their hand and we can give them another round of applause.
Just raise your hand.
Thank you very much for that. And today is also a great day back in Austin. Your state capital is having its 125th birthday today. And just studying up and reading over Colonel Lewis's biography, you knew he was going to have a great history.